You are Locked On Lions Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And it's a live Locked On Lions postcast from somewhere outside of Levi Stadium. That's right. We've done these live Locked On shows before. Boots on the ground. Lions defeat the San Francisco 49ers 40-34. The final score in this one. And yes, live from Levi Stadium. We'll break it all down. Big night for the offense. Defense toughened up when they needed to. And the atmosphere inside Levi Stadium was incredible. It was another Honolulu Blue takeover, which you absolutely love to see. My name is Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma on Twitter. And as always, fired up to be with you on a live Locked On Lions postcast. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. Now is the time you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet hits, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, live Locked On Lions postcast, boots on the ground from outside Levi Stadium. It is a Monday Night Football edition. The Lions moved to 14-2, so all is well that ends well. Now, listen, I will say, fans were into it early. San Francisco came out, especially offensively, and executed in all aspects. And really, at the halftime break, even this one felt like it was certainly hanging in the balance. And we all know with what happened on Sunday with the Packers, and of course with the Packers and with the Minnesota Vikings, of this game not really meaning that much, right? And the fact of the matter is, Dan Campbell and the Lions still, of course, came to play regardless. And everything comes down to next week, at Ford Field. We know that. Now, that being said, feel free to chime in the comments if you stayed up late for a Monday Night Football edition. We're live from Levi Stadium. And with that being said, the Lions come out on top on this one, 40-34. I think the offense did a nice job of just, outlasting the 49ers, because look, 49ers didn't have anything to play for. Neither did the Lions, rather. But at the end of the day, it's the National Football League. You're going to come out and play. That's the culture of this team. That's Dan Campbell. That's Jared Goff. That's Brad Holmes. That's everybody that has made this team who they are. And there's no such thing as sitting down and resting for 1 week to look ahead to next week, where everything comes down to with the Minnesota Vikings. So that being said, really happy with the effort. And again, a little bit different being at the game compared to sitting at home, taking notes and taking stats and that sort of thing. So if you saw some things on the, from the X's and O's side of thing, let me know in the comments. If you saw some things on the TV broadcast, let me know. But Levi Stadium, been here a couple of times, was here last year for the NFC Championship game. That was a heartbreaker, let me tell you. We all remember that one for sure, with how that one ended. So the stakes in this one certainly not nearly as high, and so obviously not as much of revenge or avenging last year by any means, but at the same time, it's always cool to see your team go on the road, all the fans and everybody, and make the noise that they did. The Honolulu Blue was alive and well, even at the tailgate, and of course into the game as well. The lower bowl full with Lions fans, and they complete a perfect season on the road for the first time in franchise history. So really neat stuff there. But again, everything that we look at with this game, it all comes down to next week against the Minnesota Vikings, with a short week, quick turnaround. But I think overall, Lions get out of this one healthy. They get a win. And I was talking with a couple of Lions fans. It's the National Football League. You're going to go out, you're going to compete, and a loss still means, it still has an impact on the psyche of the team. And so I think earning a win on the road meant a lot for Dan Campbell. And again, I'm not going to go as far as saying, hey, you avenged last year's NFC Championship loss, because we all know that wasn't the case. But at the same time, felt pretty good to walk out of Levi Stadium with a win. Let's get to some comments right away. We start with Mr. My City, forward down the field. Let's go. Jeff Wilford, he's a regular tuning in. Great win for the Lions. You got to love that. Mr. City says, I finally hit on a parlay. How about that? 6 green check. Let's go. Very good. You got to give it up to Kirby Joseph. Made a statement today. Listen, I was telling some people sitting next to me that he very much has a case for Defensive Player of the Year. And obviously, that's coming from a Lions fan. So I'm the one that thinks he could be that type of player as far as the national recognition recognition, but man, the 2 interceptions he had today, especially the second one, he baited Brock Purdy into throwing that interception, closed on the ball like a tremendous defensive back that he is, and you love to see that. And really on a night where the defense could not stop this Lions team. I was texting with some people during the game. Aaron Glenn, love AG, love what this defense is, but obviously banged up, and getting pressure on a quarterback has always been the Achilles heel of this defense. And there were times tonight where, hey, you couldn't get pressure on the quarterback, and being in man coverage, being in cover one. Listen, I mean, give it up to Ricky Pearsall. What a game he had for the San Francisco 49ers. And you look at what he was able to do, 8 receptions for 141 yards and a touchdown. That's a breakout game for the rookie Ricky Pearsall. And I kept having these nightmares looking ahead to next week of how good the passing attack for the Minnesota Vikings is. And Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall were on the same page. So you got to give them a lot of credit there. And maybe next week the game plan's a little bit different. Maybe it's not cover one all the time. And I thought the interceptions that Kirby Joseph had, he was able to play, again, listen, at the game, it's a little bit different than watching on TV, but he was able to sit in center field and make really good plays from that safety position in both of his interceptions. Great stuff from him as well. Jeff Wilford goes on to say, hopefully a couple of healthy returning players next week. That's right. It's a quick turnaround, Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. So obviously that's a big part of it as well, is getting these guys healthy and being able to turn around quickly for a big game against the Minnesota Vikings next week. Another comment looks like from Jovan Rodriguez. Been alive for 24 years. This is the greatest year of my life of being a Lions fan. Next week, we are getting the first seed. Let's go Lions all the way. Super Bowl championship, Detroit. All right, let's pump the brakes a little bit on any of the Super Bowl talk. I know everybody's excited and you feel like this team can certainly put their best foot forward and represent the NFC heading to the Super Bowl. But man, there is a lot of football left to be played, and it all comes down to next week. So I think getting a win tonight was huge. I think the San Francisco 49ers were an admirable opponent. Obviously, they're banged up as well. Their season didn't go the way they wanted to, and with them having nothing to play for, the Lions having nothing to play for, this really was a unique set of circumstances in the end of December, where you're playing essentially a preseason game, with the Lions looking forward to next week against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Niners being in a rare spot where they're trying to improve their draft stock, someplace they haven't been in years. So certainly unexpected circumstances, but hey, had the tickets for this game at Levi Stadium, and you got to give it up to the fans at the Levi Stadium for the San Francisco 49ers. The tailgate scene is incredible here. I'm not kidding when I tell you the Niner faithful shows up and shows out. So all the credit there, which makes it a lot of fun. But we're just getting started on a live Locked On Lions postcast. They defeat the San Francisco 49ers 40-34, complete the season undefeated on the road, 8-0, 14-2 overall for the season. Don't go anywhere. We'll take one short break and be back in just a moment. It is a Locked On Lions postcast from outside Levi Stadium here on the Locked On Sports Detroit page, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Podcast Postcast is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let me guess, Rocket Money helped you find some subscriptions that you forgot about and you were paying for twice. That's definitely something Rocket Mortgage specializes in. Look, it happened to me. It's a subscription I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it easy to stay on track. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, appreciate everyone tuning in to a live Locked On Lions postcast outside of Levi Stadium, a boots on the ground episode. We got the 49ers fans saying hello. Obviously, we're going to have to bleep out anything that they had. Yeah, we are live from Locked On. And that's the great thing about a live show. You never know what can happen, and you might have some people chirping in, and that's why this is the best here with the Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers. All right, one more comment to get to. My kids don't know how good they have it. This Lions team will be remembered for the rest of my life. It's just normal for them. I've had that same thought in conversation with kids as well, that you don't realize how good this Lions team is and how good it is to have. Let's go. We got Lions fans. We got Niners fans all right here at Levi Stadium. You don't realize how good you have it as a Lions fan if you are a kid, because we did not have this team growing up. That's for sure. All right, one more comment to get to from Mojo Baby saying, go Lions. Absolutely. That's great stuff. And hey, you know what? Niners fans are awesome as well. That's what we love about the live Locked On Lions postcast show outside of Levi Stadium. We did this with Locked On Tigers, remember, after they beat the Houston Astros. We had a nice boots on the ground episode after a playoff win there as well. And let's hope playoff wins are in the Lions' future. All right, other observations tonight. I thought Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, obviously, again, clicking on all cylinders. 40 points is a testament to that. And the great thing about Ben Johnson being in his bag early in this game with the hook and ladder play to Jameson Williams, and down the sidelines he went. The whole crowd absolutely loved it. You had the gas from the San Francisco 49ers crowd, and then you had the Lions crowd cheering on J-Mo as he went down the sidelines on that incredible play on the hook and ladder. I thought establishing the running game early was important, especially that opening drive, because you gotta give it to San Francisco. They came out in this game ready to go, and the Lions were playing from behind for the majority of that first half and really had to lean on that rushing game. Jahmyr Gibbs, 117 yards on the ground with the one touchdown on just 18 carries. Craig Reynolds chipped in with 31 yards, and then a couple of plays, Jamar Jefferson getting in on the action as well. And then, like I mentioned, a big game for Jameson Williams because I thought he was involved early. Ben Johnson did a good job of getting him involved early. He had the one rushing touchdown early. And then, of course, on the hook and ladder as well, he finishes leading the way with 5 receptions and 77 yards. And then on fourth down, too, some big fourth down plays. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good job on that fourth down play that kind of, I wouldn't say sealed it for the Lions, but certainly put them in the driver's seat. So good stuff from Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. All right, here we go. We got a couple other comments, people chiming in. Yeah, we got Niners fans photobombing. That's the beauty of doing a live show right outside Levi Stadium, boots on the ground, on the road. There you go. All right. Any fans are better than the Cowboy fans. There you go. Detroit is known for a few things. 0-16, 49ers massacre, 0 Super Bowls, Barry quitting on you. Megatron, 0 playoff wins, 3 playoff wins the past 70 years. All right, if you're catching the audio-only version, we got a lot of fans tuning in from all over, it appears, and that includes Bears fans that are very upset and miserable. I got a feeling Bears fans would love to have Ben Johnson as their head coach, which Listen, I think that's a conversation that obviously will continue to take on new meaning as we continue on to what the offseason might look like. And I think Ben Johnson, you can attribute him as a guy that is all in with this Detroit Lions team. And depending on where, of course, the rest of the season goes and what his future holds certainly is unknown at this point. But that being said, back to the game with the Lions defeating the 49ers. It all comes down to next week, and I've been saying that. Everybody at the game knew that, and with the Lions making a statement in that second half, outscoring San Francisco in an impressive way, 27-13 in that second half. Jake Bates had some really clutch field goals, but also a blocked extra point and a missed extra point. So certainly it's a conversation there. Maybe he's just getting that out of his system before the football gets more and more meaningful. Because again, if you want to have an off night, you want it to be on a night in which the Lions could afford to have an off night from the special teams. So overall, I don't think there's any glaring concerns with Jake Bates, but that being said, certainly uncharacteristic to see him miss a couple of we'll have the one extra point blocked at the beginning of the game and then miss the extra point. But that 2-point conversion, I was talking with my brother, who is an offensive coordinator, and he loved what Ben Johnson dialed up there and the motion that occupied the first level, and Jared Goff doing a nice job to roll in outside the pocket and throw on the run to a wide open target for that 2-point conversion, which again, you love to see, which at that point was really, really huge. So, all right, we're going to tie a bow on it and talk about next week, look ahead to the Minnesota Vikings, because obviously that is the most important task at hand for this Detroit Lions team. And we know what the playoff picture is. It's a little bit I don't say it's unfair, but again, for a historic season for the Detroit Lions, they've taken care of their business. And unfortunately, it's still going to all come down to, and I wouldn't say unfortunately, that's the wrong way to put it, but the Lions get to host the Minnesota Vikings for everything on the line, an NFC North title, a number 1 seed, and of course a first round bye. So don't go anywhere. We tied a bow on it next here on the live Locked On Lions postcast. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. That's right, FanDuel. You can make your moments matter more. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com to get started and use that promo code LOCKEDON NFL. FanDuel, America's number 1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, final segment here from Levi Stadium after the Lions go on the road and defeat the San Francisco 49ers. Jared Goff, a big game offensively. You loved what you saw from JG 16, 26 of 34 for total passing with 3 touchdowns. You love to see that. Rushing, Jahmyr Gibbs had 117 yards and a touchdown, and receiving a whole host of casts getting in on the action. Jameson Williams leading the way with 77 yards and a touchdown, and then Sam Laporta with a touchdown as well, which was a big catch at that time. Because remember, Sam Laporta on that 4th down earlier was well defended by the San Francisco 49ers, and he did his best in that play. But to bounce back in a big way, you love to see that from Sam Laporta. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown had the big touchdown on 4th down as well. But it all comes down to next week, Lions, Vikings. And listen, I'm not here to talk smack against the Vikings. They've had a great season. Kevin O'Connell's been amazing. You got to give him a lot of credit. But it's also interesting the way that they've been portrayed. I was watching Good Morning Football this morning on NFL Network. And again, you give them credit because obviously they put themselves in this position as well. And Sam Darnold resurrected his career again. You can't take anything away from them. But at the same time, it's like, my goodness, they are celebrating like they've won the Super Bowl, and they have to go to Ford Field and beat the Lions in order to get that number 1 seed and get the NFC North. So let me know in the comments if you're going to be at that game. Would love to hear from you because, listen, I think it's going to be absolutely electric at Ford Field for Week 18. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Detroiters have earned this. You know, it's been a long time. In the Dan Campbell era, we know how it started. We know the season in which you went 500 with that win on Sunday Night Football in Green Bay, and then to what happened last year with the memorable playoff run that ended in disappointment in, of all places, Levi Stadium, which is right behind it. You can't see because it's dark, but you get the idea to where we are now. A couple more comments before we go. Demetrius McNeil says, Jake, sweet revenge, and now the biggest main event at Ford Field. Yes, again, listen, I would have loved to feel more validated with this win, but we both know it didn't really mean a lot for either team, and it all comes down to next week. But Demetrius, completely agree with you there. And then Rufus T. Cat, yo, what a season. That's right. It's been a great season. We have to remember that. But let's remember, too, it all comes down to next week. There is no doubt about that. So same time next week, Lions are going to be on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, Lions, Vikings, the marquee game. Sunday Night Football, we'll have a live Locked On Lions postcast after that one. A couple of Locked On Pistons postcasts this week. Make sure you join us for our Locked On Michigan postcast tomorrow after they play Alabama on New Year's Eve. It's an early start, so we'll be on the air after that one. Make sure you like Locked On Sports Detroit, and of course, like the video, share it, Locked On Sports Detroit, and subscribe. And from Levi Stadium, it's been a pleasure to be with you on the air, and we'll see you next time on Locked On Lions Postcast. Thanks so much to Matt Derry for the plug with the Locked On Lions Daily Show. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Locked On Lions Postcast.